Hey guys, welcome back. In the last lecture, we set up our API only application where we created an API only app. We set up the device and device JWT gem. We configured the user model with JWT revocation strategies and we configured the JWT secret and expiration with device. And the only thing which is remaining is to test our authentication that we implemented. Okay, so let's test our application on the Postman. So open the Postman in your system and switch there. And here you can see that I have opened the Postman in my system. Now what I need to do first as the first thing. So first create a post request. Okay, and we know that whenever we create a sign up or whenever we create a new user using device, then we need to send a post request to the registration controller. Okay, and whenever we send a request, first we need to select the type of the request. So we can select the type of the request as the post here. Okay, because we are going to create a new record on the server. Okay, so first check select the type, that is post, and now we need to provide the URL here, that is http. And here you can remove this API v1 users. Okay, because this is from the older app URL. So you here you just need to provide users. Okay, and after selecting this, what you need to do, you need to send a request body. So first prepare the request body. Okay, so select the row. Okay, and then select the type of the request, that is JSON. Okay, and now here you can prepare your request body. Okay, and into that request body, first select params, that is user. Okay, and into this users param, you need to provide two key value pair, that is email. Okay, so email could be, let's say, user@example.com. Okay, and then you need to provide password. The password could be anything, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, and now first make some space on the terminal. So come to the browser. Oh, first let's run the rail server. Okay, because we are trying to send the request and our server is not started here. Okay, so once your server is started, make some space on the terminal and click on the send link. Okay, here you can see, just check the request parameter again, that what we are sending as the request body, that we are sending the user params. Okay, and into that user param we have two attributes, that is email and password. And with device, we know that we require two argument that must be present for creating a resource, that is username, sorry, email and password. Okay, so now click on the send request. Okay, and when you send this request, you will see some error on the browser, that is internal server error and action dispatch request session disable session error. Your application has session disabled. Okay, to write the session, you must first configure a session store. So, and here first check on the terminal as well. So when you come to the terminal, you can see that our we are getting this action dispatch request error, but our user has been created successfully in the database. Okay, and you can see that JTI token has also been generated. So both device and device JWT gems are working. What we just need to do, we need to enable the session store into our API application. Okay, so first copy this error, go to the terminal. Okay, so just copy this error and we will Google it for solution. Okay, so come to the browser and paste this error as it is. Okay, and you will see a GitHub link. Okay, or a GitHub conversation link. Okay, so you just need to scroll through that, and if you want to see this, I will share this GitHub conversation URL into the description of the lecture as well. But what you need to do, so just scroll down, and here below, at below some point, you will find the solution, that this comment. Okay, so what we need to do, we just need to add these three lines into our application.rb. Okay, so now just open the application.rb. Okay, so go to the config directory and here open the application.rb, and at the last, after config.api only equal to true, just paste this. So what we have done here, config.session store, and that is interslice session, config.middleware.use action dispatch cookies, and config.middleware.use config.session store and config.session options. Okay, now let's save this and come to the server again. Okay, and since we made changes into the application.rb, so to take those changes effect, what we need to do, we need to restart our server. Okay, so our server has been restarted, and now let's create another user by just changing the value of email. Let's say user1 at the rate example.com. Okay, and now make some space into the terminal and click on send request again. Okay, and now when you send the request, you will see that user has been created successfully, and we are not getting the cookie session store error anymore. Okay, and here you can see in the headers that into the headers we are getting the authorization token as well, that we are generating using the device JWT. So here you can see that bearer, we are getting this bearer token. Okay, so just copy this bearer token, and we will use this bearer token for signing out the user. So just open a new request into the postman, and here you need to select delete, and then you need to provide http and use user sign up. So and remove the sign up via sign out. Okay, and the authorization token that we copied from this post request. Okay, so just make sure to copy this again, so copy it, and we need to use this as the delete request. So just pass the authorization into the header. So authorization, and paste this token, authorization token, into the header. Okay, and now let's make some space on the terminal and submit this delete request. Okay, and when you submit this request, you will get an error that is responded to. Okay, and you can also see that error on the terminal as well. Okay, and this is the time where we need to update our session and registration controllers for rendering the response as the JSON. Okay, so here you can see that what we are seeing in the error, that undefined method respond to. Okay, so we need to add this method respond to as JSON into both registration and session controller. Okay, so let's open your registration controller first. Okay, because we will do one by one. So open the registrations controller, and into the registration controller remove everything that is existing here so far, because we don't need all these commented lines. If you need that, you can use them as well. So remove all commented lines, save the files, and now what we need to do here, we need to add respond to and then JSON. Okay, and here we need to add the private method, that is private and def, and what we can provide here, respond with, and then first provide the resource here, resource, and then options could be an empty hash. Okay, so it is optional. Okay, and then implement this respond with method. Okay, so what we need to check, if the resource is existing or if resource persists into the database, then we need to render a success response. Okay, so first check the condition that if resource dot persisted. Okay, then what we need to do, we need to render JSON, and then into the JSON first provide the status, that is, let's say, code 200. Okay, and the message is, that is, signed up successfully, and then headers. Okay, so we can just keep it like this. Okay, and just provide data as resource. Okay, so whenever a user is successfully signed up, then into the JSON response we can see that the status code is 200, and message, that is signed up successfully, and in the data we can see the resource instance. Okay, or all the data attributes of that resource. Okay, but what happen if resource is not saved successfully or it is not persisted in the database? So we can do that thing in the else part, that is render JSON. Okay, and then status, the status is, let's say, and here you can see that user could not be created successfully. And then we can add messages like sorry, that's it. And you can send errors, and errors you can add, let's say, resource dot errors dot full messages. Okay, so resource dot errors dot full messages. Okay, and then status unprocessable entity, and save this. Now we need to do the similar thing into the sessions controller too. Okay, so open the sessions controller as well. So go to the users session controller and remove everything existing from here as well, because we don't need these commented data. So remove all these things, and first he add here respond to, and then JSON. Okay, and then implement few methods here, that is as a private method. And the first method is that is respond with. Okay, so this is same as the registration that we created into the registration controller. Okay, so resource and then options must be optional. Okay, and what we will return in this method, that if user is signed in successfully, then we just need to render JSON. Okay, and then here you can provide, say, status for 200 and message user signed in successfully. Okay, and then data is current user. So let's provide data, or simply as resource, but provide, let's say, provide current user. Okay, and then status. Okay, and save this. Now we need to implement one more method in this, that is respond to on destroy, because this method is now we need to customize into the sessions controller, because we need to override the respond to on destroy method, which is already provided by device, because right now we are using it for token authentication and doing it in API only application, so we need to customize it. Okay, so implement that method, that is def respond to on destroy, respond to on destroy. Okay, and just define this method, and inside this method first we need to find the user that is authorized, and we need to find that user using the authorization token that we will receive through the headers. Okay, so what we can define here, let's say JWT payload. Okay, and here we need to decode the authorization token first, so JWT dot decode. Okay, and here request dot headers here, because you can see in the postman that we are sending this token into the authorization. Okay, so request dot headers, and then what the key name is, that is authorization. Okay, so just copy this, and we will use this authorization, and this is the same authorization token that we exposed in the reg course in the last lecture. Okay, so authorization dot split. Okay, now I'm using split here because I don't need this bearer text. I just only need this token. Okay, so we need to remove this bearer. Okay, so we can split it like this. Okay, and then just copy the first one of it. Okay, and then we just need to use our rails.application.credentials.fetch. Okay, that we used in the device.rb. Okay, so just open the device.rb and just copy this line, rails.application.credentials.fetch, and then secret key base. Okay, so just paste this is here, and here what you need to do, just copy the first instance of it. Okay, so first. Okay, Save this. And now we need to find the currently signed in user. Okay, so what we can do here, current user equal to user dot find, and then JWT payload. Okay, and then sub, sorry, remove this, sub. Okay, and when we submit the request, I will show you that what we are getting into the JWT payload while decoding the authorization token. Okay, now if the user exists or the current user exists, then we need to prepare the response for sign out the user. Okay, so just come to the next line, and what we can do here, if current user. Okay, if current user, then render JSON, and into the JSON response, what we need to provide, status 200. Okay, and then message signed out successfully. You can provide signed out successfully, and then we need to provide the status, that is okay, status okay. Okay, and then let's come to the else part of this, that is if current user does not exist, then let's close this if, and then we can render JSON here, render JSON, and then status 401, because if the user does not found, that means the request is unauthorized. Okay, so for unauthorized or unauthenticated request, what status code we provide, that is 401. Okay, and then message user has no active session, user has no active session, and then status unauthorized. Okay, unauthorized. Okay, and now open the registrations controller, and here you can also provide status, that is to this renderization, and that is status okay, and save this. Okay, so we are done with both the registrations controller and the sessions controller. Okay, so now we customized both of the controller. Now let's test the destroy user or the sign out destroy session path. Okay, so come to the post terminal first and make some space into the terminal, and now come to the postman and send this request again. Okay, and when you submit the request here, you will see that signed out successfully. That means the user has been logged out, and after log out the user, you can see that we are updating the JTI token into the user. Okay, now let's create another URL, another user. Okay, so here you can provide user1 at the rate example.com. So we can provide user11 at the rate example.com. Okay, and now when you submit, make some space in the terminal first, and when you hit the send button, okay, you will see that though there is some error. So check the line number 18 into the users registration controller. So just go to the line number 18. Sorry, open the line number 18 of registrations controller. Okay, so okay, so the if is not ended here. Okay, so just end this if, and now send this request, first make the space on terminal and send this request again from the postman. Okay, so when you click on send button, you will see in the terminal that user has been created successfully. Okay, and when you check this response on the body, you will see that status code 200, message signed up successfully, and data is id3, email user11 at that example.com, created at this time, updated at this time, and this is the JTI token. Okay, now let's copy the authorization token for this user again. Okay, so just copy this bearer token. Okay, and come to the sessions controller again, because I wanted to show that what we get in this JWT payload. So just open it, and here what we can do, debugger. Okay, save this debugger, and now submit this sign out request. So just paste this authentication token here. Just remove the existing one token, and just submit, make some space on the terminal, and click on the send button. Okay, when you click on send, you will see that the debugger has been stopped, has stopped the terminal. And go to the sublime and just copy this JWT payload. You will see that this is the JTI token, and we are getting 3 in the sub. That means this is the user ID 3. Okay, and here you can see SCP, that is resource. Okay, and IAT and expiration time. Okay, initialized at an expiration, and this is the JTI token that will be updated. Okay, so this is the JWT payload that we will get when we try to sign out a user. Okay, and now just exit from the debugger, and you will see on the postman that signed out successfully. Okay, and let's make some space on the terminal again, and now come to the sessions controller. So we checked that what we receive in the JWT payload. So remove this debugger, and now we will check the sign in action, because we checked the registration action, we checked the sign out action. Now it's time to check the user's sign in action. Okay, so we can create a new request, that must be post, and in the post we also need to send the same data. So first add the request here, that is user localhost, sorry, http localhost 3000 users sign in. Okay, and here we also need to prepare the body parameters, sorry, request body for this sign in action. Okay, so just select the raw and request type as JSON, and prepare the body here. Or we can copy the request body from the sign up URL as well, or the registration URL. So just copy this request body and paste it here in the sign in request. Okay, so when you click on, sorry, when you go come to the server and make some space here, and now come to the postman and send this request. When you send this request, you will see that our user has been signed in successfully. The request is come to the sessions controller create a JS. Okay, and here you can see that response in the postman body, that is status code 200 message user signed in successfully. And this is the data that we are seeing here. Okay, and now let's create this sorry, let's sign out this user again. Okay, so what we need to do, here you can see in the headers that we are getting the authorization token. So just copy this authorization token again, and pass this authorization token to the delete request. Okay, so just remove the existing authorization token. Okay, and make some space on the terminal, and now submit this request again. And when you submit it, you can see that user has been signed out successfully, and you can see on the terminal that JTI has been updated for the user. So we tested our authentication implementation in this lecture, and we saw that everything is working fine. Okay, so let's recall that what we did in this lecture. So come to the project directory and first open the application.rb. Okay, so you need to add these 3 lines. Okay, and you can find the solution of this from this GitHub conversation, and I will definitely add this link into the description of the lecture, and you can get it from there as well. But make sure to use these 3 lines inside your application.rb that you can see here. Okay, and then update the registration controller and the sessions controller, and first add the respond to a JSON and in both controllers, and then private action, and customize the existing respond with for both session and registration, and respond to on destroy for the sign out action. Okay, and then test everything on the postman. Okay, so everything will work fine. Okay, in the next lecture we will create a controller to access the currently signed in user. Okay, till then let's try this part 1 and part 2 lecture at your end. I hope I'm able to add something useful through these lectures. Okay, if you have any doubt or concerns regarding the implementation, just reach out to me through the comments, and I will be happy to help you. Okay, so thanks for watching this, and let's meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.